I've always found the study of cryptozoology fascinating. I love hearing all the stories and seeing all the supposed proof of cryptids. Today I will describe 3 different North American cryptids and their histories to you. I'll start with Bigfoot, then Mothman, which I consider especially close to my heart because I'm from the area where Mothman originated, and finally end on one you might not have even heard of unless you're a fan of Harry Potter, the Pukwudgie. To start, I think it would be best to define cryptozoology. Merriam-Webster defines cryptozoology as the study of and search for animals, and especially legendary animals such as Sasquatch, usually in order to evaluate the possibility of their existence. It may all sound like science fiction, but there are some animals that, upon initial discovery, were thought to be hoaxes until it was proven they were real, such as the platypus and giant squid. Now, I don't know if we'll ever truly find evidence to prove the existence of the cryptids I'll be covering, but it wouldn't be the first time in history something similar has happened. Let's begin with my first subject, Bigfoot, otherwise known as Sasquatch. Bigfoot is usually said to be a bipedal primate, which means it walks upright on 2 feet. The reports have led to a purported height of anywhere from 6 to 15 feet and footprints that measure up to 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. They are said to be covered in hair, usually said to be brown, black, or dark reddish in color. They are also said to have a strong, foul scent, but you'd probably smell pretty bad too if you lived your life wandering around the forest. Most sightings are said to be in the Pacific Northwest and up into British Columbia, Canada, but they've been spotted all over North America, with other major regions being the Great Lake region and the southeastern United States. The term Bigfoot was popularized in 1958 by Andrew Genzoli in the Humboldt Times. He covered a story of loggers in Northern California finding giant footprints and caught the nation's attention. The myth of a potentially giant man wandering around the woods is hardly that new, though. Indigenous people all over the country have stories of giant wild men roaming the woods. The term Sasquatch is an Anglicanized version of a word from a tribe in British Columbia that roughly translates to hairy man. While non-believers believe all so-called sightings can be attributed to either misidentification of other animals or hoaxes, there are some confirmed hoaxes. Remember when I said that the term Bigfoot was popularized by a 1958 newspaper article? Well, it turns out the footprints that inspired the article were a hoax. In 2002, the children of Ray Wallace revealed after his death that he had falsified the giant footprints as a prank. It also took place in the same location where a film frequently touted as one of the clearest sightings of Bigfoot ever caught on film was shot. While the creators of the film have stood by its authenticity since its release in 1967, the fact it was shot in the same location as a known hoax has led many to question it. Now that we've covered Bigfoot, let's move on to my next topic, Mothman. It was November 15th, 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia when Mothman was first seen. 2 couples were driving down a highway when they say they saw a creature with a 10-foot wingspan and glowing red eyes. They tried to drive away from it, but it began to chase them through the air. Throughout the next year, there were more sightings of the creature. 2 volunteer firemen said they saw the creature, and a man claimed that the creature stole his dog, which had run into some trees near his house. He found paw prints running in a circle before they disappeared completely. The sheriff in the area, however, believed it was not a mythical creature, but rather an unusually large heron. A biology professor at West Virginia University suggested it may have been a sandhill crane, which is nearly the height of an average man and is bright red around its eyes. Both of these are especially compelling because several of the initial reports described the creature as bird-like. In December 1967, the Silver Bridge in the area collapsed, causing the death of 46 people. Realistically, the bridge was simply old, having been built in 1928, and it had been constructed in a way that meant one single piece failing would send the whole thing crashing down, which is exactly what happened. But because it was only a short year after Mothman had appeared, putting a previously little-known area on the map in the first place, it didn't take long for people to start attributing the tragedy to Mothman. There are also several reports of what people called the Blackbird of Chernobyl, which had an eerily similar description to the Mothman in West Virginia. Because these 2 locations had major disasters following reports of Mothman sighting, it had led people to wonder if Mothman isn't just a harmless cryptid, but if he could actually be a harbinger of disaster, if not even the actual cause of it. For my next point, I'll be covering my final cryptid, the Pukwudgie. The Pukwudgie is a creature from Native American lore. The name translates to person of the wilderness. They were said to be between 2 to 3 feet tall. They have human-like features, but bigger ears, noses, and fingers with gray, smooth skin. They're often compared to trolls or goblins. They are most frequently reported living in the forests of Massachusetts. Myths about their attitude towards humans range from harmless to mischievous to even murderous and a danger to encounter. These ancient creatures are well established within American mythos, but unless you're from the area they're associated with, you might not have even heard of them. In the Harry Potter spin-off, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, one of the houses in the American School for Wizards is named after the Puckwudgie, which has made more people aware of them in recent years. Now that we've covered these 3 cryptids, let's conclude. First, we learned about Bigfoot, a staple in the Pacific Northwest. Then we moved on to Mothman. Is he harmless or a harbinger? And finally, we covered the Puckwudgie, an ancient but well-known cryptid unique to America. I hope you'll come away with this with a newfound knowledge of cryptids and maybe even a budding interest in cryptozoology.